is a beautiful Tuesday morning, and thank you so much for picking Morning Rush and hanging out with us as you get ready for your day. Now, of course, today is Tuesday, which means we're trying to buff up your library and buff it up with local literature especially. Now, of course, we do have resident bookworm Audrey Chirenje joining us this morning. Good morning, Audrey.
Morning, Candice. How are you? Great.
What have you been up to?
Books and more books.
Love it, love it, love it. Now today we are talking about Over and Beyond by Takudzwa Masapa. Why?
Well, it's a love story, a beautiful story. You know, your typical boy grows up in Masvingo, father dies, he's left with the responsibility of his mom and siblings, and then he has to go across the border to look for a job in South Africa. Yes.
Tell us a little bit about the author.
The author is a 23-year-old. He's a NUST architecture student, and this is his 4th book. Wow. He's done 3 motivational books, and this was his first time dabbling in the fiction world.
Wow, wow. So, first of all, he's very young. Yes. He's very young, which I think it's always exciting to see the younger generation getting into writing and being passionate about it. You said he's done some inspirational books before. Can you tell us maybe just a little bit about those 3 books first?
Okay, so according to him, he's all about leadership. I think coming from a church background where he was a leader in church. So his books is just always trying to motivate the young people, like you said, that they too can be leaders. They can start something and actually run with it. So yeah, he's all passionate about the youth.
Do we know why, or can we guess why he decided to also just try something new?
I don't know, but I think, you know, with all authors, there comes a time whereby you just want to venture into different aspects. And because you've done, like he had done 3 books, so I figure he decided to just enter the fiction world.
New.
Yes.
All right, now tell us a bit more about this. So a young boy left to take care of his family, goes off to find a job in South Africa.
Yes. So like we spoke, it's not always rosy across the other side. So he goes there, he encounters a lot of difficulties, but then he finds love. But this love is not all rosy again, because obviously the xenophobia aspect is going to come at work and even with the family. And then even when he decides to bring his bride-to-be to Zim, to introduce to his family, the mother loved her, but the tetes, you know, the usual.
Of course.
Yes, they were like, why would you bring us a foreigner? You know, that story. Yes.
I'm sensing a lot of relatability in this book. Number one, from the perspective of someone who's having to make things work to make ends meet. So, for example, crossing over to find a job in a different country because you need to take care of people. There's responsibilities you need, even if it's just taking care of yourself. That really is a thread that we see quite common. I think right now, throw a stone, hit someone, and they've got a relative somewhere. You know, so I think that's a very common thread that a lot of people can relate to. And also, Banyadze love, you know, it's showing that you can feel one way, but also your family is not exactly entitled to feel the same way you feel about your person. But how does he navigate telling that story?
Okay, so on top of that, I'll just add another little twist. There's an ex-boyfriend called Mandla in SA who doesn't want to let go. So, I mean, he feels very offended and insulted that a Zimbo could actually come and steal his girl. So at some point, there's actually a lot of drama and physical abuse that actually goes on. So in this book, like you're saying, it's your typical Romeo and Juliet, but the modern one. Very difficult environment to navigate, but ultimately true love prevails.
I'm interested in just looking at some of the themes that he touches on. So we've got love, of course. We've got that family aspect as well. What else does he touch on in the book?
Okay, there's an issue of the gang life because, like I mentioned, that Mandla dude, he was a leader of a gang. So there's also that aspect. There's also an aspect of justice because someone actually ends up reporting him to the police. So justice is also part of it. And then we've got the famous black tax. I know this subject is sort of a taboo, but it's real. real, and I guess black families, we don't even call it tax. It's expected that when you get to a certain age, your parents have taken you through school, you must repay and also look after the family and your siblings. So that element is also in there.
It's also in, and I think that would be really the core of our story, is it not? Because that's what takes him to South Africa, the need to take care of these people and be responsible for them, because he's technically now the breadwinner in that family, isn't he?
That's correct.
Now, as you navigate responsibilities and life in general, you also tend to then forget about you as the individual, because you're so busy taking care of everybody else. How does he portray this character from an individualistic standpoint?
Okay, I think he's got a best friend called Melusi, who stays behind. So you find a lot of the times in the book, Melusi is the one who's giving him advice. He's the one who even goes to check on his family while he's away. So that aspect, it's the friendship. And then there's also a pastor who gives them counsel, because, like I said, even the Nonto's parents also didn't like him. So the pastor had to actually counsel them and tell them how to navigate. Yes.
You know, it's very... We look at it and we say, look, maybe this relationship was doomed from the get-go or whatever, because you're looking at both sides of the family saying, but there is a lesson in that, isn't there?
There is a lesson. And the lesson is, you know, like, whatever you have chosen, you actually need to stand up for it and fight for it. Yes.
Audrey, why are we reading this book?
We are reading this book, like we said, it's from a young 23-year-old with 4 books already. So there's some inspiration in Zimbabwe. You can also do it. And then also he's sharing about love from a very mature perspective. So anyone can read the book, from your young adults to your older generation.
Some books take longer, some books take a short span. How long did it take you to read this one?
This one, one day. It's one of those reads, easy. It's an easy read. So you can relate, you can see it. It's 120 pages, but you can actually read it in one sitting. Yes.
How much of your mind did this book engage?
All of it. All of it. I was totally engrossed. It's a riveting book. There's the thrill, there's the motivation. It's like, all in one, you've got those things thrown into that book.
Oh, Audrey, while I have you here, consultations are going on today about the school curriculum. If you had the chance to address this issue and say, this is what I would like to see included on the curriculum, what would you be wanting to see more of?
Wow. I think I know the whole color debate. So I've got a Form 3 child, but she's in boarding school, so I don't get to deal with most of it, but it's a pain, this color thing. I don't know if it was widely consulted or not, I'm not sure. But on the ECDB, my other daughter is in ECDB, the syllabus for me is very good, because it's encompassing all the aspects, ICT, there's heritage, and your usual Shona and maths. So on that level, it's okay, but I hear everyone else is crying about the color.
What's your specific pain point with color?
I think it's the lack of consultation and the lack of understanding and less knowledge about what people are actually supposed to do. And then from the streets, I hear there's a lack of resources, whereby people are saying, if someone from the urban areas are finding it difficult, what about the people in the rural areas?
Absolutely. Yeah. Now, Audrey, where do we get our hands on Over and Beyond?
Okay, so it's available at Tisumazwi and TDN Partners in town, and then you can also hit up the author. He's based in Bulawayo, and he's all over social media, Takudzwa Masapa.
All right, Audrey, thank you so much. We'll see you next week.
Thank you.